Hey, it's Debbie Potts, and here's a new episode on how you can improve your fueling and training with a review of articles on tips and tricks for the endurance athlete and the aging athlete, and even more specifically for the female athlete. Listen in.
Welcome to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you burn fat, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey guys, it's Debbie, and have you used a CGM before? CGM is continuous glucose monitor, and there's different options out there. Ideally, you can get it from your doctor, but they seem to just want to wait until you're type 2 diabetic and not be preventative. I would like us to take ownership of our health and make choices now to prevent having high, low glucose readings and optimize your health from the inside out by testing and not guessing. And that includes a CGM that goes on for 14 days, and you can order one via NutriSense. And a CGM is giving you glucose updates with a small device in the back of your arm, 24/7. Totally easy. I actually did a video on my YouTube channel, Low Carb Athlete, how to apply this CGM. First time, kind of scared, but it doesn't hurt. But it gives you real-time glucose readings. Glucose response to meals. You'll learn about what foods are reactive to you, and that could be a healthy food that you think is great, but it could raise your glucose. Simple things as stevia, for me, raise my glucose. Chewing gum, raise my glucose. Stress, when I'm driving a car and there's traffic, raises my glucose. Every stress response is a glucose response. So learn how to manage your stress. Learn how to pick right foods for you, unless you can, do other lab testing and figure out Vibrant Wellness food zoomers, but it's kind of expensive for people. So if you can wear a CGM, it's a great way to learn about stress, food, exercise, stacking movement with your nutrition. Figure out how to balance your blood sugar. So we want to learn more about how to exercise and eat or not eat. And morning cortisol, does it raise your glucose? If there's hidden stressors at nighttime, does your glucose go up higher while you're sleeping? So it gives us lots of clues that we can put in our investigation when we are working on your personalized fueling, training, and performance program to improve fat loss, performance, and longevity. So head to NutriSense website, nutrisense.io, how it works. You can learn more about your habits, your routines, your relationship to food, a little bit more. Great app to use, and it can sync on to different programs, so you can put it all together. So if you want to get started with your journey in NutriSense, I suggest this to all my clients. Use at least 30 days. So you can do a 30-day, 90-day, different programs, but you can pick which one you want. You get the sensor in the mail, put it on, lasts for 14 days, sync it to the app, and get your readings on there. And then if you're doing my VIP coaching program, I'm working with you to correlate this data together. So begin your health optimization journey with NutriSense, and you can save on your order with our code, as usual, Low Carb Athlete. So no carbs is not our goal, it's carb timing, and using NutriSense, you can help figure out your nutrient-dense whole food plan and when to adjust your macros based on your exercise intensity, duration, based on your life stressors, and learn more. So it's nice to have this data. So test and not guess with NutriSense. Let me know how you like it. Before we get to the main conversation today on how to match your fueling with your training and nutrient timing and guidelines for protein and carbs and fats for the endurance athlete, I want you to support some of our favorite products using our code Low Carb Athlete. We have LMNT. I have S Fuels I use in my long bike rides and run, and HVMN, Ketone IQ, and Keon as well as a Redmond's a real salt. So check out some of those favorite products and use our discount code to support the podcast, Low Carb Athlete. All right, it's Debbie, and I'm back with a few articles I'm going to review that are all on my website, debbiepotts.net. Head to the blog page where I've been putting together lots of information and resources for you, the endurance athlete, aging athlete, and the female athlete. So let's dive into nutrient timing, protein carb guidelines, when to have your fat, when to have your carbs to improve performance. And there's so much information out there. And my goal this season is to clarify the information we hear out there isn't necessarily for you, the fit and active endurance athlete. So we need to listen to the information out there and go, okay, is that good for me? Does that serve my purpose? Is that going to benefit me or cause more stress? Chronic stress adds up and leads to metabolic chaos. So we really want to listen out there to fasting, to carnivore, low carb, to zero carb. We want to take into account a lot of the information out there isn't for the endurance athlete. And a lot of my friends that do strict carnivore are more lifting and doing some cardio, but I think it's hard when you're a triathlete, when you're working out once, twice, sometimes 3 times a day. And less is more. We need to make sure we have our recovery days and recovery weeks every month. But I think it gets confusing, and I get a lot of clients coming to me for help how to figure out how to fuel and train for their schedule, their life. And so that's what I do a lot of lately is doing assessments for clients. What are you doing now? What are your signs and symptoms? Give me a food log. I send people a 3-day food log with their mood, with their energy and their motility and their supplements, and look at their exercise with their nutrition, as well as sleep and stress levels. So it's what I call the holistic method, but we need to look at the whole picture and wonder if you're doing all this and it's still not helping you, if you're trying to lose weight, fat weight, if you're trying to improve performance and get stronger and faster, we need to push pause and reset and evaluate what you're doing now and not follow the insanity schedule, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, right? So here's an article I put together. Are you matching your fueling and training for performance and recovery? So we know Dr. Stacy Sims focuses on the female athlete is different than the male athlete. And then female pre-menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause is going to be a little different. So she teaches us the importance of fueling in and around our harder, more intense workouts and longer duration workouts. Peter Defty talks about strategic carb timing. And then we look at carnivore experts talk about zero carbs on an animal-based diet, focus on fatty meat, butter, salt, and eggs. So we have to take all this information, as I said, and figure out what works best for you, because there is not one size fits all. There's a starting place, a baseline, a template to follow, and then we course correct and adjust as we go. So if you are aging athlete, if you're 45 and older, we need to probably look at our training schedule differently than we did when we were in our 20s and 30s. So looking at how we're training and looking at how we're fueling and then putting those together is what I've been doing a little more for clients. So what is your intensity? As I bought this year the Pinoy Metabolic Testing Kit, so I can do that on clients. And if you want to come to North San Diego, I can test you at a resting metabolism and exercise test and figure out what your true training zones are and what is your fat to carb ratio fuel source, and do your body fat composition and look at the whole picture, and then put that with functional lab testing or even a blood chemistry panel. Ideally get a comprehensive panel, as doctors don't test what we need to do, but you can get everything you want on Alta Labs. So what is right for you if we're doing endurance training for a big race, or are you just training for life? It's an ongoing adventure, right? So it's figuring out, for me, I'm trying to get faster, stronger, and more powerful as I age. And I want to stay fit and active, but I don't really have any big A races. I've kind of been there, done that. I'm not motivated to do a big race. I started marathons and triathlons back in 1999, and I did Danskin triathlon, started doing Ironman in 2001 and stopped because of health reasons in 2013, my adrenal exhaustion, so to speak. Who knows what that all was, but metabolic chaos, we say. So we want to look at what you're doing, what your schedule is this year, if you've got any events coming up, or if you're training for races, and really personalize a fueling and training program. So if you go back a couple years ago to the episode I did with Rob Wolf, yes, Mr. Paleo Man, who talks all about this, and the co-founder of Element, one of our favorite electrolytes that you can get a free variety pack with our code Low Carb Athlete. But he taught us that not all carbs are evil. And we talked to Peter Defty many times that we use those carbohydrates as backup fuel source. It's fat burning engine, primary engine source, right? Our backup engine is our carbohydrates. Now, what we all agree on, and even Stacy Sims, who's more of a vegetarian, is prioritizing protein and eating carbohydrates in and around the workout so we can improve the performance. We can improve recovery and repair by timing in our protein and our carbohydrates. I am not able to do gluten or wheat. So if you do a Vibrant Wellness Wheat Zoomer, you can find out for sure if you are reactive, if you have any antibodies as a thyroid panel. Hopefully you can get a full thyroid panel, but if you have antibodies, you should probably be avoiding gluten as well. So I look at the source of carbohydrates as more nature's carbs, as Dr. Mindy talks about, having the root vegetables, which in keto, you're not supposed to have sweet potatoes or potatoes, but if you're an athlete, a keto carnivore diet, potatoes are a great source, I think, if you don't have any issues with them. And looking at plant toxins, lectin, phytates, oxalates, all that stuff we've talked about can be inflammatory to you. So staying more towards berries and in season fruits and vegetables that are lower in the plant toxins, and looking at the 4-day rotation diet, not having something more than once a week, would be beneficial to you if you are not doing a strict carnivore diet. So Stacy Sims talks about what to eat for the aging female athlete in transition. So as we go from pre-menopause, perimenopause to the second half through that transition time, I'll speak on this topic first briefly, but Stacy Sims talks about consuming a combination of nutrient-dense whole foods with a focus on protein and carbohydrate in and around exercise. Now, Dr. Stacy Sims, I just finished her Menopause 2.0 program. She does not address healthy fats. If you listen to my interview, and I'll post the second one, but they're all on my YouTube channel with Dr. Elizabeth Bright, she talks about the importance of having healthy fats to feed your steroid hormones or your sex hormones and supporting your thyroid. Now, we need healthy fats. Stacy Sims does not address healthy fats really much at all. So I like to listen to everyone and then figure out what works best for me. So the purpose is to match fueling with your training pre-workout and post-workout to enhance your performance, with the pre-workout and the post-workouts to enhance your recovery and repair. The goal is to maximize the body's ability to respond to the exercise stress, to adapt in order to get stronger. So the whole thing, if you've listened over the years in kind of biohacking and cold therapy, heat therapy, we talk about hormesis, and we'll dive into that a little more again. But you can focus on the type of exercise stress we are doing. The purpose is to adapt from, say, lifting heavy weights. And from that stress, that recovery time is when we repair rebuild and get stronger and adapt to that stress. So it's important to fuel post-workout the right way to help your muscle protein synthesis. So to maximize those muscular adaptations from the exercise and to facilitate repair of the muscle damage created from the exercise stress, we need to fuel around the workout, post-workout. And that is where we can really prioritize nutrient timing. I find it challenging as I get home. As an example, today is kind of a rest day, and we biked, ran long, and did another bike on a long weekend, Labor Day. And I find when I go to the gym this morning, I did more mobility and some core work and some arms, heavy lifting. And I went for a walk for half an hour when we came home. And then it's time to shower and get ready and get to work. So I had to time, which I should have done. I actually didn't do this today. So I admit I forgot again, adding a Keon unsweetened whey protein into my coffee and blend it together. And I need to go do that after this. But ideally, women need to do this 30 minutes post-workout, and men can wait up to 3 hours. But we want to get that protein in, about 20 grams pre-workout, 20 grams post-workout. So I talked a little bit before about hormesis, previous show, but exercise is a good example of hormesis. And we've talked a little bit about Dr. Stacy Sims' recommendation, train hard, recover harder is what I say, but she talks about pre-workout, 100 to 150 calories pre-workout for women. Men can do a fasted workout and get more fat loss goals. Women actually will burn more fat if they eat a little bit of calories pre-workout, increase our blood glucose levels, and our body's already more efficient than men at burning fat. So Stacy Sims obviously focuses on female athlete nutrition and training and the differences between the genders, men and women. But just having a little bit of calories in coffee or tea, having the unsweetened whey protein with some coconut sugar in a Laird's coffee creamer is what I've been trying, and doing what Elizabeth Bryce talks about, and other people adding some butter and real salt into my coffee. So that's a good calorie source of calories pre-workout. So if it's 15 grams of protein, 30 grams of carbs I don't get, but it depends on the workout. Now, I have not done this, but S Fuels Train is great for my long rides that I've used, but the S Fuels Race Plus, I think, would be something to dose in a pre-workout if you are going to do a really intense zone 5 workout with zone 4. So zone 5, by the way, is 10 to 30 second all out sprints and then 1 minute or longer recovery. So you can refuel, and then go hard again. Now, more of a glycogen depleting interval would be zone 4, where you're going 1 to 4 minutes. So that would be a good time to experiment. Is your performance better if you add a little bit of carbohydrates, as with S Fuels Race Plus pre-workout? So post-workout, Stacy Sims talks about 30 to 40 grams, and she talks in the program about splitting it, 20 grams pre, 20 grams post-workout, with a little bit of carbohydrates too. And I think this is an important note, because a lot of people in the low-carb space say they don't believe with everything she says, but I do agree that adding a little bit of carbs in the protein post-workout signals your body that you are in a catabolic breakdown state. Give the body the ingredients it needs to repair, recover, and rebuild post-workout, and really give it the nutrients it needs to promote muscle protein synthesis post-workout resistance training, any high-intensity interval training, or a really long endurance training workout. As I did a 50-mile bike ride yesterday with hills, that I was some anaerobic training points and low heart rate because of going uphill, downhill. And so that gives me automatic high-intensity interval training. And then keeping it zone 2 the rest of the time, that it might be beneficial for me to help my repair and recovery by adding in that fuel source. The timing of it, nutrient timing, is really essential, because we want, as women, and men, but especially females, I think we're more at risk for this LEA, low energy availability, and being in a low energy state. And so I am always curious if this is part of my issue is I tend to not eat enough or eat at the right time to help improve recovery and repair. So if you kind of feel sluggish and slow, I would look at timing your nutrition. And if you feel like you're not recovering from your workouts, time your post-workout nutrition. And if you are just not losing fat weight, I would really look at what you're eating, when, why, and how, and matching that with your type of workout, duration, and intensity, men and women. So how we fuel is important, as well as supporting our microbiome and our gut wall lining. And that's why I like to add the glutamine that S Fuels has and colostrum and having that whey protein post workouts, and working on supporting our microbiome with some fruit. I haven't been eating the vegetables, but timing that to help post workout recovery of my muscles, but also the gut health. Also, men and women, we want to focus for muscle protein synthesis of getting the leucine. So larger leucine intake with your essential amino acids. That's why I like Kion, because they reformulated their essential amino acid capsules to have a higher amount of leucine. And the research shows 2.7 to 3.5 grams of leucine post-exercise signals the muscle to induce muscle protein synthesis. So you can't just take leucine by itself. It has to be with the essential amino acids. So you want to look at the essential amino acid profile. And I did do research and put it in one of the blog posts of plant-based sources of essential amino acids versus animal-based, and how hard it is to get enough protein, 30 to 40 grams per meal spread out 3 to 4 hours, plus your post-workout protein to hit your protein goal. Is really hard to hit the leucine amount of amino acids of about 3 grams. So instead of a scoop of 20 grams of whey protein to get 3 grams of protein, I think it's about right there, that you would need 50 grams of rice pea protein blend to get the threshold of a leucine amino acid for that protein muscle synthesis. So if you're going for the plant-based protein, when you have your post-workout drink, you actually need 2 or 3 scoops of that to get the 50 grams of the rice pea protein to hit the 3 grams of leucine. So I think, everyone that's doing plant-based, it's challenging to get enough protein in, especially if you look at the amount of protein to hit 30 grams. And Dr. Stacy Sims is more of a vegetarian, vegan, but you have to eat the gazillion vegetables to get that 30, 40 grams of protein. So I don't think it's enjoyable to be a vegetarian because there's no way you can eat that much. And she even says that. So I think it's people that have personal issues to be plant-based, which I was most of my life. I forced myself to have animal-based diet. Even I have to only eat certain foods. I don't like a lot of animal stuff, and it grosses me out, to be honest, but I know I need it. I needed all those ingredients that come with it, and to have more of an animal-based diet is what I chose to do, but I'm not eating the liver and other organ meats and all the different type of animals. I kind of just stick with steak and grass-fed beef or burgers, and then try to stay away from chicken and turkey, and ideally eat more seafood. Wild caught would be good, but yeah, plant-based is tough to get that protein. So everyone agrees in our space that you need to avoid the processed foods, the fortified foods, and get rid of reading the ingredients for one, but get rid of that packaged stuff and eat the real food. Remember to shop the outside, avoid the aisles. Eat real food, and using the shakes and bars are a supplement. You're not to rely on that as a meal replacement. Ideally, wait to get your real food meal, but having a shake so you can get your nutrient timing is beneficial. And sometimes I do have a bar pre-workout if I'm going swimming because I can't eat a lot of food and time that. If I go swimming at lunchtime, I have this 8 to 11:30 window that I have to time when I'm eating post morning workout before swim workout to get enough calories in and not eat too close to workout that I haven't digested that food. So you have to find what works with your digestive system and gut health, but something else to think about, but don't think about living off of shakes and bars. That's not great. We want nutrient-dense whole foods that balances your blood sugar, that supports your muscles, protein synthesis, and your microbiome. So we want diversity is essential, right? But you want proper digestion so you can break all those foods down. A lot of people, when I do metabolic testing to see their fuel source and then look at their GI map and digestion and look at if they have any bad bacteria and high levels of H. pylori, they are not breaking down their protein to get the amino acids. And if you have low thyroid, you need the tyrosine, which is an amino acid, and iodine to make the thyroid hormone. So you need iodine and you need amino acids and you need the essential fats to make your hormones. And I think we forget that part. So we can't go by calories in, calories out. You want to work on going as you age. What happens? We lose muscle, we lose balance, we lose mobility, but stop blaming the aging process and do something about it, right? So stop counting calories, how much you're burning in your workout sessions, but looking at your protein nutrient timing. So we want to look at what we should be eating, when you should be eating, and why. And really work on what is your purpose of that workout? What are you even doing it for? What are you trying to get out of it? And realize sometimes, having a little bit of good nutrition before might help you reach those goals more so. And that's hard to wrap your head around. I know I had to do that myself as I'm trying to do getting more strength and power and speed, that I have to get out of the headspace, the mindset that I have to do it fasted, that it's okay to have some calories as butter and sea salt in my coffee and even some whey protein, and have the creamer with the coconut sugar sweetener in it as Laird's coffee creamer with the mushroom adaptogens. So you have to not be so set in your ways as a female athlete, especially that has lower estrogen levels, to work on making up for that difference by fueling around our workouts and exercising the right way. So what we want to do is prioritize that intake throughout the day. If you are trying to do heavy resistance training or a high heart rate workout as a HIIT training, we are putting ourselves in a catabolic state, right? So you're breaking down muscle and you're lifting heavy. So that's why it's important to post-workout get that fuel source. So we want to look at what is catabolic. Catabolic is heavy resistance training or high intensity interval workout. The body goes through stress. You're burning lots of calories. We are creating muscle tissue damage, and we are increasing the stress hormone cortisol. So that could be elevated post-workout, potentially promoting muscle protein breakdown. So after the workout, sometimes I just lay down after a long bike ride or something hard on the weekend, come home and just make sure you have a downtime to help lower that cortisol. Like I kind of feel it afterwards. So I know I need to have that push, pause, reset, reboot time for your body, and then get the nutrition. But after your workout, your body may continue to experience that catabolic effect, and you can help that by just doing some rest and relaxation and reset post-workout. Now, anabolic is building. So in response to resistance training, the body initiates repair and recovery process. In the hours following the exercise, with the proper nutrient timing, it will shift towards an anabolic state, repair, rebuild. Consuming protein and carbohydrates after exercise supports muscle repair and replenishes glycogen stores. Hormones as insulin and growth factors play a role in promoting anabolism and tissue repair. So the transition from a catabolic to anabolic isn't always immediate and varies based on the intensity and the duration of the workout. Also, it's individual, and the strategies you implement post-workout will change that. So the post-energy or post-exercise window anabolic window is a critical time for nutrient intake to support recovery and muscle protein synthesis. So you can make sure you plan ahead, bring a shaker bottle with your protein. I really like Brad Kearns has a new whey protein that's really clean, and the vanilla is from vanilla. It's not a natural flavor. It's real vanilla and a little bit of monk fruit and has creatine in it. So if I was not coming home right away, have a shaker bottle with a scoop of that and just add water and shake it up, and it really blended well. Post-workout, that was a great solution. If you're more anaerobic, this is when you would place in those carbs to have each day. So you're still being low carb. You're not being high carb, but you're timing them in and around the workouts to replenish your muscle glycogen stores, support insulin release, which is an anabolic hormone. Now, hydration, you don't sweat out water, you sweat out minerals. So it's really important to stay hydrated with water and minerals. So I use unsweetened LMNT in my water. I use Redmond's Real Salt. I bought the 10-pound bag. So I have a little container in the fridge or cabinet by the fridge, and I salt everything as I crave salt, sometimes more than others. So I listen to my body and help support that mineral balancing and hydration. And also rest, prioritizing sleep, right? So sleep and rest help recovery in the anabolic processes. So if you're not prioritizing your sleep hygiene yet, you better start doing that, because that's when the magic happens. And then your workout schedule per week. So we look at Dr. Stacy Sims' program, doing a hard workout, easy, moderate, hard, and looking at that per person based on your life schedule is really beneficial. But really make sure you're not doing too much zone 3. So we talk about zone 2, and then you're doing intervals. You want to avoid the gray zone, the black hole training, the zone 3, and time that when you're doing tempo pieces, when you're training for a race, but you don't want to stay in zone 3 the whole workout. And I see people all the time is when I was doing my long, easy run on Sunday, I kind of more of a jog walk every 5 minutes. I'll walk 30 seconds to a minute and then go again. But I'm watching people and they're huffing and puffing. They're just race pace the whole way. And if your workout is endurance training, let's stay in zone 2. And then some days you will do 10-minute pieces in zone 3. But I see people doing that in their entire workout, and I can just tell that they're in the wrong heart rate zone. So moderate cardio, and Stacy Sims talks this gray zone a lot, that it's too easy to be hard and it's too hard to be easy. So you're going to go easy or you're going hard. And so you have to figure out your workout schedule each week that you time that. Now, if your goal is to improve fat loss, you want to change your body composition. You have to get out of the mindset of exercising more and eating less, because this is what happens for men and women that were doing this eat more, exercise more, eat less, causing low energy availability, as we talked earlier about. And the symptoms are similar to being menopausal. So sometimes women, we don't know if we're just overtraining, under recovery is an issue, and we're just not eating enough calories to meet the demands of our workout. So we want to be careful we're getting the right fuel in. It's really important, because we tend, and I've done this a lot. So you want to add in our nutrition, post workout, during the workout when appropriate, post training. Women refeed that 30-minute window with that protein dose to reduce cortisol. Remember, exercise is a stressor, and we have that anabolic response to get out of catabolic, right? So we want to time our protein. Men can wait a little longer, but women, we're more at a 30-minute window. We've heard about men up to 3 hours. So you want to check that your amino acids are the right amount in your protein that you're taking in to get that 3 grams of leucine. So checking out Kion is what I've been using. Low carb athletes are code. And then you want to look at your gut health. If you're trying to lose weight, body composition changes by lifting weights, doing the sprint interval, doing the zone 2. but looking at what else is going on that might be a hidden internal source of chronic stress. Hidden stands for hormone imbalances, immune dysfunction, detoxification issues, digestion, energy, and neurotransmitter nervous system. So we want to look at external stressors that are chronic and internal sources that are chronic and work on a personalized program for that. We've also talked a ton last couple of years about being in a fed state or fasted state for your workout. So then I look at the client, what's your why? What's a purpose? As I said earlier, I was really strict at fasting many, many years. And now looking at what Dr. Elizabeth Bright's talking about, having some butter in your coffee still keeps my blood sugar level. And looking at, is my performance better when I don't have anything? Or is it kind of dragging and I'm feeling slow and sluggish? Well, maybe I need to eat something. So we have to listen to our own body, your own journey. Everyone's got different stressors, different microbiome, different bacteria. And so we want to look at what works best for you. So for athletes, and I learned this working with Ben Greenfield as a coach, 12 to 15 hours of fasting is plenty for men and women that are fit and active. Women should stick with a 12-hour window, and that should be normal for everybody. Stop eating after dinner and don't eat until breakfast. That should be 12 hours. So if you are going to bed by 10, no eating after 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., that's your window. For me, I go to bed at 8 o'clock because I wake up at 5 a.m. And so I am up 4:35 a.m. So I need to stop eating at 5. Well, that doesn't always happen because I'm trying to get my protein in if I work out in the evening. So if it's just one day a week, as today, I'm trying to go a little bit longer without eating anything. So you have to really look at what your fasting window and your time restricted feeding window is. And that's going to be different per person. So remember, it's not one size fits all. So looking at all this, fasting and looking at your gut health, I think is a really important part. I put in this blog, gut motility, leaky gut, immune system, dysbiosis, remembering that exercise in hot weather will impact your gut health. And that's why I like S Fuels, because they added that glutamine in there, because hot weather exercise can increase oxidative stress in the body, which can have a negative effect on gut health. And oxidative stress contributes to inflammation and tissue damage in the gut. So we want to look at getting the right foods, the right nutrients to help support the gut. Long distance exercise impacts gut health and gut motility. So we need to look at that. Leaky gut is increased intestinal permeability, and it's loosening of the tight junctions between the cells, the cell lining of the intestinal wall. The cell lining of the gut is only one cell thick. And think of this, your gut, I always think of it as a fence around it, a castle. And that castle, the fence around, has starting to get the tight junctions, the walls are getting gaps in between them. And so when we have those gaps, we are getting more leaks of nutrients that are supposed to stay in our gut start to get leaked out. So exercising, moderate exercise can be beneficial, but extreme endurance exercise can exacerbate leaky gut. So prolonged exercise can trigger inflammation, oxidative stress, and changes in blood flow, which may contribute to increased gut permeability, leaky gut. So I'm sure all of you have some level of leaky gut, lowered immune system, dysbiosis, because it's all starts north to south. So looking at what we're eating, when, why, and how, but looking at our H. pylori in our stomach, if we're able to even break down protein. And when you're not acidic enough in your stomach, well, then you don't have that first line of defense to have that acidic wash to kill off the bad guys. So then the bad guys enter in, small intestine, large intestine, then we have this whole dysbiosis, opportunistic bacteria. And really looking at this for the athlete, I think is important and overlooked a lot. So nutrition, nutrient timing, getting that leucine, getting the protein, timing it is really important. Looking at stimulating muscle protein synthesis. So really important part, I think, of what you can read about in my blog. Consuming that protein and carbs post exercise window can help this, and getting nutrient dense carbs, not eating the gels and the bars and the crappy stuff that's out there. Just real food, having some berries that are frozen into your shake and a frozen avocado chunk is amazing. So you can just have that fat carbs from the berries and your protein from your whey protein powder, mix it with ice and maybe some water and heavy cream. Or if you can't do dairy, do some coconut milk. So getting the leucine in that amino acid protein is important. Hydration, remember variability, and the rest of this blog you can find. I looked up rabbit hole, but leucine, how much leucine is in steak. So ribeye steak, say 100 gram serving of cooked steak, you get say 30, 40 grams, 20 grams to 40 grams of the protein. But the amino acids, leucine is 2.0 to 2.5 in a ribeye, sirloin steak 2.5 to 2.8. And you can look at that in this blog. I talked about this in a previous podcast, but just so interesting on animal-based protein versus plant-based, but pea protein, soy protein, how you can get enough of it. So remember, you have to have almost twice as much. So getting your 20 grams of serving with 3.5 to 4 grams of leucine post-exercise is the whey protein, has the best amino acid profile, and leucine per 20 grams to active mTOR help the repair and rebuild. Remember, mTOR is not bad. It's a balancing of everything, the Goldilocks, mTOR to AMPK pathway. So a lot of people are fixed on not getting mTOR. That's building, breakdown, build, balance. So when you do your long endurance training, when you do high heart rate zone 4-5 with zone 1 interval, true intervals, when you do the heavy strength training of 3 to 6 reps max to muscle fatigue, you want to have that 20 grams of protein post-workout with a 3.5 to 4 grams, she says here, not just 3 grams, but a little higher of leucine. So I was looking at what's the purpose of your workout, what's intensity, duration. Are you breaking down a lot of muscle tissue in that training session? Are you in a breakdown state? And you want to dive into all this nutrition. So looking at protein and healthy fats. If you listen to lots of great information on fat and protein should come together naturally if you do an animal-based diet. And I was listening to an interview with Dr. Ben Bickman was talking about that. Really good tip that your meat on an animal-based diet should be fatty meat naturally. It's when we got to be fearful of fat that protein got to be low fat, no fat protein. Then it kind of is processed. Naturally, ancestral health, our animal meat is with fat. They're not separate. So listen to Dr. Ben Bickman's interviews. He's was really right on about that. All right, so I didn't get to the other ones I have here for you, but athletic performance, protein carb guidelines for performance, went into this a few months ago. And you can go back to that blog of Stacy Sims and a carb tolerance test of Rob Wolf talked about finding what carbs work best for you. I rather use glucose meter. You can use Keto Mojo. You can use NutriSense or Levels. But Rob has in his book and website the carb tolerance test to make sure which type of 50 grams of carbs are real food that don't spike your glucose up high. Like some people can do rice, other people can't do rice. Using the glucose meter will help you test, not guess. And then women versus men and athletes, non-athletes, but Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, I've said many times, talks about the importance of eating some carbohydrates in and out around workouts, that not getting more than too much carbs at once. So she said on a previous post, she talked about for non-athletes, carb timing for high intensity exercise can benefit most athletes. Carbs requires insulin response for cells for the absorb the sugars, the macronutrients for energy. Eating too many carbs, you may not be able to keep up with that, with insulin response. So that's why exercise is so essential for getting the carbohydrate uptake from your muscles. So the body can use, burn, or store up to 40 grams of carbohydrates after a meal. Meals that exceed 40 grams require more insulin to shut down fat metabolism and force extra carbs to be converted into fat storage, limiting the body to burn fat, increase blood sugar, blood glucose fluctuations, and increase hunger. But she's talking for the non-athletes. So if you eat too many carbs of real food sources, as sometimes berries even give me a headache, I have to try being active or go walk around the yard, go run some stairs, do some jump squats, air squats, something like that will help. So strategic carb timing is essential in and around your workout. So more anaerobic is the summary here. Do the carb tolerance test with Rob Wolf's guidelines in his book. 50 grams, use a NutriSense or a Keto Mojo to test your glucose and not guess, and get some lab testing. Get some blood chemistry panel tests and know what your glucose is, but I would rather you be checking quarterly what your insulin is and your CRP, your inflammatory markers. So strategic carb timing, looking at women, you can check out my female athlete articles I put together from the course I've been taking. Women, we struggle as we age and blame the aging process and our hormones, but the unexplained weight gain, the hot flashes, sweating at night, struggle sleeping, feeling puffy, inflamed, not getting stronger, even though you're doing the work, you feel slow and you don't have the speed. Well, that's where we want to stop blaming the hormones, blaming menopause, blaming age, and actually do something different. So again, insanity, doing the same thing over and over again. So we often see increased in weight gain. We see decrease in lean body mass, increase in total body weight, decrease in insulin sensitivity, increase in blood glucose levels, decrease in bone mineral density, bone mass. We have an increase in our baseline cortisol, and our ability to respond to stress is decreased. We have changes in our estrogen receptor sites, decreases in immune response. We have increase in fatigue, and we have a reduced ability to recover from workouts, decrease in quality of sleep, and decrease in thyroid function, probably from low energy availability, not eating enough and exercising too much. So yeah, that's a lot, but we don't have to have that happen. You need to support the adrenals, because once we go through menopause, ovaries retire, the adrenals are still making your hormones. And how are your hormones made? Sex hormones are made for steroid hormones from cholesterol. Cholesterol comes from fat. So having your essential fatty acids, as Dr. Elizabeth Bright talks about, eating protein to help get the tyrosine, having iodine. I just have some in my water to have the ingredients you need to build thyroid hormones and are supporting cortisol, supporting your adrenals. So really look at all this information and get a coach as myself or someone else that gets you the endurance athlete that's driven, ambitious, high performer that tends to do everything too much, right? We tend to take something and take it to extreme. You're living a life as a race, you're addicted to busyness, you have that rushing woman or man syndrome. We tend to do too much. Chronic stress leaves you in a sympathetic dominant state. So you need to change how you're training, do heavy lifting, stop doing the chronic cardio, less is more, and add in some intervals. So I've really changed the way and did a 30-day challenge myself in August, working on changing the chronic cardio to some different type of workouts. So much information on my blogs, I can't even tell you. I went down many rabbit holes. So you want to just dive into that, or just set up a discovery call with me to figure out, let's look at what you need and what we've learned and from your previous experiences and what's working, not working for you based on your journey. So head to debbiepotts.net, free discovery call, 20 minutes with me, and we can figure out what the best plan of action is for you based on your budget, your goals, and your time you are allowing you to spend on yourself. So less is more, the Goldilocks effect. More is not better. And stop blaming the aging process and embrace it and change how you fuel, train, and perform each day for life, for longevity, your future self, but also performing any events and races this year. Or maybe you're just like me who wants to be faster, stronger, and leaner as they age. All right, Debbie Potts, over and out. Hey, before you leave, my fellow endurance athletes, just a reminder, if you like what you listened to today, please help me out. Share this episode with your community of fellow aging athletes. Also, you can head to debbiepotts.net to set up a free discovery call with me to learn about my personalized coaching programs. If you are struggling to get the desired results, even though you're doing all the so-called right things you hear about out there in our community, you may just need to adjust your workout and test and not guess with functional lab testing, nutritional therapy assessment, and get a personalized program to learn how to best fuel, train, and perform for the unique you to improve the aging process and work on training your future self now. So head to debbiepotts.net and let's talk more. Hey guys, if you like what you listen to, if you could head to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts from and leave us a positive, glorious review to help us grow the show for helping endurance athletes improve their fueling, training, and performance as they age and avoid going through what I went through the last 10 years of adrenal exhaustion, metabolic chaos. So learn from my mistakes and hopefully you can thrive as you age. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at debbiepotts.net. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.